He became an FA Cup finalist at the weekend with a win against Southampton. Now we start to find out the first pieces of this final puzzle for the Champions League. And Gregg Popovich is involved. Can he become the first Champions League finalist for the first time in his career? It's live next. The first leg between Manchester United and Benfica. We've seen this matchup a lot of times in Europe over the past few seasons, but none more so at a stage than this. Gregg Popovich became a FA Cup finalist for the second time in a row at the weekend. Here, he gets to start his journey possibly towards a Champions League finalist in just his second season. It is an unbelievable story. And in the other semi-final, of course, Atletico Madrid taking on Manchester City. And what a day it would be if we were to have an all-Premier League Manchester Derby Champions League final. Well, that would be some story, wouldn't it? The two Manchester clubs making an all-Premier League Champions League final 2 seasons on from a day where both sets of fans were joined together to cheer on Manchester United in the Europa League final in a night where United won in the midst of a turmoil time for the city. And I don't think there'll be any of that if those teams made the Champions League final. But we have the first of 2 legs in the semi-final to deal with first. Manchester United certainly have the easier fixture, but like we said, this Benfica team is no slouch. They have definitely given Manchester United games in their previous encounters. But Manchester City have the juggernaut that is Atletico Madrid, obviously. With their players in goal for United, it's Jones, Maguire, and with Dalot and Shaw in the defence today. Shaw, I think it is for his first game back since his injury. Pereira, Pogba, Fred, Zardes, the midfield, with Williams and Hunter, the strike force, one playing behind the other. So here we go. Benfica, obviously, with all the plaudits to get here, they probably, with the likes of Real Madrid and PSG, probably no one would really give Benfica a sniff. But it's fair to say that PSG and Real Madrid have had rather disappointing seasons in this Champions League by their standards. Real Madrid especially being the champions, and PSG with their juggernaut squad, with PSG being dropped down to the Europa League. And if I remember rightly, I believe Arsenal beat them in that Europa League. I think it was in the quarterfinals. So not only is Gregg Popovich on for his first semi-final Champions League appearance, en route to possibly a Champions League final, in the end, he could be having a Europa League final to look at if he can navigate his team in the Europa League semis. And obviously the winners of the Europa League will benefit from winning it, as they get a spot in Europe no matter what. Even if you're not the 4th team in the league, you can still get through to the Champions League as Europa League winners. Manchester United did so a couple of seasons ago, and then were obviously, which was last season I believe, won the Europa League final. Jose Mourinho stepped down, Gregg Popovich took over, and was unfortunately eliminated by Sevilla, and that's a penalty given away by Benfica, and it could be a booking for the player. The referee refuses to give it. He feels a penalty is just desserts, and that is exactly what Benfica didn't need to do in this stage of the game. It's barely kicked off. Manchester United have a penalty. Well, Aaron Henwood is not here tonight. He scored the opening goal against Chelsea. Pogba scores the opening goal here, and he gives United the lead. The keeper, obviously having no idea Pogba was going to shoot the ball with that run-up. It has been controversial. No ruling against it has been made as of yet. Well, it's not a pulled Pogba. Strangely, really put his foot through that. Well, it fooled the keeper, that's for sure. The keeper was rooted to the ground. And Gregg Popovich will take this, because don't forget, Manchester United are the away team here. So that is an away goal for Manchester United, and that is now advantage United in this tie, because if it was to end as a draw, a 1-1 draw that is, in aggregate scoreline terms, United would go through on the away goal rule. So now it really is United advantage in the driver's seat at the moment. Hunter, Andreas Pereira. It's too much space. United being given too much room here. Pereira pokes it in towards Hunter. Poor defending from Benfica. 2 quick-fire goals in the first 10 minutes. Alex Hunter makes it 2-0. Where was the defending for Benfica? It was nowhere. And basically, Pereira, I think it is, able to gallop down the pitch, shield the ball, wait for Hunter's arrival, and he put it in the back of the net, as he does for his team. And another goal for the terrific Hunter, Alex Hunter, in the Champions League. He is loving this competition. Another goal for him. 5 goals in this Champions League season. We all talk about Alex Hunter and how Jim never won the FA Cup, and he could be on the verge of, Alex could be of rewriting that history, but right now he's thriving in the Champions League. 5 goals, it doesn't say a lot, but when you consider there are much less games in this competition, probably a little bit more if you count the 2 legs, obviously, but you know, the 6 group games and then the multiple games and legs, there are still many less than a league season and an FA Cup, and Alex is scoring abundance of goals in it. It is impressive. Manchester United probably still 1 defender short of an all-star caliber team. Obviously, we mentioned earlier that Jallit is being monitored at West Ham as he signed for them in the January window. Oh, Denisov. Goal for Benfica then. Well, Denisov was really alert to the loose touch there in defending from United. And that is a goal for them. So what happens here? Jones kind of gets there and Pogba does a heavy touch and loses the ball. And that is a very uncharacteristic error by Paul Pogba. One of the best at the ball with his feet. Didn't really show it there. Benfica have been thrown a lifeline quite literally from United. Here's Benfica 1, United 2. United with 2 away goals. But that will worry them a little bit now. To Williams. Williams pokes it through to Pereira. Andreas Pereira straight to the keeper and out for a corner. United certainly attacking with flair at the moment. It definitely is a more vintage Coach Park performance. There's Pereira with the corner and in by, who is that? I think it's Danny Williams. Danny Williams has scored in the Champions League, and Hunter and Williams have now scored in another competition together. And, well, Danny Williams playing his game, really. Right with the corner. Danny Williams, another thunderous header into the back of the net. That could be anybody. It could be Pogba's. But I think it goes to Danny. It probably might even be an own goal, you know. I mean, there were about 4 players in the box there. Let's see who that goes to. The caption says Danny Williams. Interesting. 3-1 to United. It looks all over, and we're not even at the end of the first half. And it's another scoring route by this magnificent Manchester United side. Pogba turns for his. He puts it out. Well, Manchester United could have this job done in the first half. 3 goals. But a very uncharacteristic error by Paul Pogba has made it a little bit tighter than they would like. It's another goal for Alex Hunter in the Champions League. He doesn't seem to stop scoring in it. And Hunter, Pogba and Williams have done the rest. Denisov has capitalised on an uncharacteristic error by Paul Pogba. But even still, this tie could be over already. Compared to the likes of Rashford, Fosu Mensah and Wilfred Jackson, 2 in particular that Popovich is fond of. Great turn there by Pereira into the box towards Hunter. He's kept the ball, but he's found he's found Pereira and he's put it in. 4-1. And that is the tie over. And we haven't even got back to Old Trafford for the home leg yet. It's 4-1 to United. They are back to their best tonight. And what a time to do it. Alex Hunter. It was almost like telepathic again from Hunter. Watch this. Brings it down. Whips it in. Somehow Pereira comes up with it and scores. It doesn't matter how you score as long as you do. And Benfica, well, they've been rather poor tonight, to be honest. But then again, Manchester United are just that good on their day. They have small slumps, but that's all they are, small. And you have to feel against Huddersfield. They will earn the result necessary to crown them Premier League champions on top of being FA Cup finalists. And to some degree, Champions League finalists as well. Because it is going to be very tough in front of a packed Old Trafford to come back from this, and United have 4 away goals. Back in by Zovic and out by Fred, and that is it. They only need to navigate past Benfica at Old Trafford now, and Gregg Popovich will be a Champions League finalist for the first time in his career, and the second year as a head coach. He is on to win them all, isn't he? A result against Huddersfield will give them the title. They're in the FA Cup final against Arsenal, and now they're on the verge of being Champions League finalists when they return to Old Trafford to face Benfica in a couple of weeks' time. There looks no way back for them. Manchester United have 4 away goals. Benfica 1, United 4. In the other fixture, it looks like we're halfway to a Manchester derby Champions League final, as Manchester City rather comfortably beat Atletico Madrid by 2-0. But I think the difference is City were the home team, judging by that graphic, and seeing United are on the left, so I'm assuming they're the away team. That could be the other way around, but whatever the case, it does look a bit of a monumental task for Madrid as well. We are almost confirmed, I would think, for a Manchester derby Champions League final, and what a matchup that will prove to be. It could have implications for the bottom, but it rather has implications for the top. A win here for Manchester United would guarantee them the title with 2 games to spare. They take on Huddersfield today away from home, one of the best away team in the league. Looks to solidify their place as champions for this season. Chelsea have a game in hand under them, but if Manchester United were to win this game, they would be uncatchable. Chelsea didn't really throw a spanner in the works, as it were. We thought Everton did, but it turned out to be rather superfluous as Chelsea earned a draw. There is the state of play at the moment. It would take them 11 points clear if United were to win right now, with 9 left to gain for Chelsea with a game in hand. A draw would pretty much mean Manchester United would probably only have to draw their last couple of games just to pile on the points. That's what Gregg Popovich is doing. Take the points, not the win, if you can not do it. The sale starts in goal for Huddersfield. Hojlund, Jonsson, Schneidler and Connello in the back there. Seabrady was with Aaron Mui in the back midfield. Kangua, Egerson and Solby are the midfield behind the portrait up front. For Coach Park, David De Gea retains in goal as usual. Fonzebe is with Bai and Marcus Rojo. Back 3 today. It's the bread and butter formation for Coach Park. Zaha, McTominay, Sanchez, Herrera, Gribbin all in the midfield. Martial once again partnered up front with Alexander Isak, as Coach Park continues to show faith that one day he will finally come good. So they don't really have a lot to think about here, Manchester United. They do need to win this match. This is probably a bit more of a importance than the return leg in the Champions League, as Manchester United do have 1 foot in the door, barring a collapse. So I would say that this is the more important matchup, but obviously they can't recall Marcus Rashford. He is still out, relatively injured, unfortunately. He is slowly returning, but I don't know if Popovich will rush him back. But considering the positions that Manchester United are in, I don't think there's any need to rush him back now. I think they have pretty much settled everything on their own and gripping away. Martial skims past one, but not past Zanka. Well, It certainly is a rewrite of the form book in this first half. Huddersfield having a lot more of the chances. They were a relegation threatened side against the champions elect. And once again, the form book has been turned on its head a little. Huddersfield 0, Manchester United 0. A win would seal the title, but United don't look like getting it again. Strange. Jua. Martial. Flick over. He's kept the ball only momentarily. Sanchez. And now Alex Hunter, who is away. The Huddersfield defence is slow. Alex Hunter to finish the league. He's done it. Alex Hunter has scored. Because of course he had to. Alex Hunter with 6 minutes to go. The Huddersfield defence is asleep. You cannot do that on Alex Hunter. He will punish you. And he has done. No doubt about it when he stepped up. And that finally will settle the nerves of the Old Trafford away section. Gregg Popovich finally has broken the jinx. And it looks like, finally, he's going to get a trophy. He's had to work hard to get it these last few games, but he deserves it. That's the 9th goal in the league for Hunter. And as he finished them off, as Alex Hunter added another piece of silverware to the Hunter legacy by himself, with a goal from himself. No more time. Champions for a 21st time for Manchester United. They have finally done it. And, well, it was never really in doubt, was it? In a way, it was a question of when rather than if. But now, the celebrations can begin. And, well, is this the start of a treble winning season 20 years on from the infamous one of 1999? It could be, you know. Gregg Popovich already a Champions League FA Cup finalist. He's already known what it takes to win that game after last season. And also the semi-final against Benfica, which is more or less won already, with the aggregate scoreline being 4-1. So celebrations begin in earnest, and they will obviously conclude later in the season. But no one can catch them now. Manchester United are Premier League champions. Manchester United won, Huddersfield 0. But it sure was a fight to get there. So the penultimate fixtures of the Premier League season. Let's look at today's scores and what that means for the table. Manchester United crowned themselves champions with a 1-0 win against Huddersfield in our coverage today. West Ham United 1, Southampton 1, Wolves 2, Fulham 1, Everton 3, Burnley 2, Manchester City 1, Leicester City 0. All of a sudden, Manchester City have all of a sudden hit the form button again. But unfortunately for them, it's too little, too late, and their own fault, really, in a way, I guess you could say, following their mid-season drop in form of drastic proportions. Bournemouth 0, Spurs 2, Palace 3, Cardiff 1. Cardiff already relegated, of course. Newcastle United, I would say, are more or less relegated. We'll look at the table in a second. They lost 3-2 to Liverpool. But no matter the result at the Kinkless Stadium, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because Chelsea lost 1-0 to Watford. So either way, the title charge for Chelsea ended in failure, which was very unfortunate given their start to the season as well. Arsenal somehow have come from nowhere, but once again, they still languish outside the top 4, unfortunately. But they do hit 3-1 to Brighton, and it is a good run of form to take into the FA Cup final and the final weekend of the season. Chelsea then won 2-0 against Burnley, but obviously, as we knew, it was too little too late after their loss at Watford. So, the table looks like this, an 8-point lead for Manchester United. It could be 11 by the end of this season. It's not the 19 points that Manchester City won it by, but it is the title, and that's what matters to United fans. Manchester City in third could overtake Chelsea if they fail to win, and City do so. They could also do it on virtue of winning and Chelsea drawing. So we just need to better Chelsea's result to go back into second. What could have been, sadly though, for Manchester City. Spurs in fourth, tied with Everton. It is a two-horse race for fourth in the final weekend of the season. Liverpool look to be safe in sixth, but Arsenal could overtake them with a win, and Liverpool draw or lose. Wolves, a great season for them, and they're going to finish in the top 10 no matter what, it seems. Leicester City in ninth. Burnley finish in the top 10. Looks like they're going to consolidate the position, although they are up against West Ham for the final 10th spot. And then there's a bit of a gap. The top 11 pretty much settled in terms of position. Brighton only on 44 points and pretty much in 12th there. Southampton, Bournemouth, Palace, Watford, Huddersfield, all safe, and no chance for Newcastle as they go down to the Championship with Fulham and Cardiff. So one last thing before we leave, we will check the final matches of the season. So actually, there's a few games in hand, I think, being played here. Southampton will take on Bournemouth and Palace will take on Everton. But in the final weekend, Manchester City and their fight for second will conclude at Brighton. Arsenal have Burnley to try and get up into 7th place from. Bournemouth have Crystal Palace, Newcastle and Fulham fighting in a rather superb exhibition match, as relegation is already confirmed for those two clubs. Chelsea will go to Leicester City to try and consolidate second ahead of Manchester City. Liverpool will take on Wolves. Manchester United have relegated Cardiff. Southampton have Huddersfield. Tottenham have Everton. And Watford will take on West Ham for the final game of the season.